MedBix webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming. Hey, welcome to the MedBix webcast. This is Ramana Raju. I'm the host. I'm not Albert Einstein. This next two women who are coming on my show, they are close to the Albert Einstein. I'm going to interview a doctor from the Cold Lake, Alberta. I don't know which is, you don't have to use both words, Cold Lake and Alberta. I went to school in Edmonton, Alberta, one semester, and then came to all the way to Norman, Oklahoma. It is a cold. I could prove. I thought I'm going to freeze to death. But that is a place, Edmonton. I think Sophia is joining us, Dr. Yan. She needs to go and visit the Cold Lake, Alberta, very close to the North Pole, I think. So anyway, that is she is actually practicing in Texas now. She's a Ob-Gyn doctor. We're going to ask you a lot of questions. Not only she wrote a small ebook, and then she's an inspirational speaker, and then she is an expert in menopause. So we're going to talk with her about that, and then then a little bit about Doctor. Her husband is actually a NASA astronaut. I'm a physicist. He had a physics degree. We have an unspoken bond between the physicists. So we are definitely connected in that sense. After that, I'm going to present a topic. It's a very interesting topic. It's something extraordinary woman like those two who are coming on my show. There is a woman in 1800s. She was born. What she did for save the planet, saved millions of people. I tell her about her story. Not too many people know her name, but that is my Sophia. Dr. Yang always says that they don't talk about women in the history who contributed to science and medicine. The reason they don't talk about it because why? Because I think history was not fair to all men wrote the history. Women were not in the equation, so that is a big problem. So my job is to bring that into the front lines and how relevant it is nowadays for that. I'm going to talk about that. Without a further ado, let me introduce you Dr. Catherine Hansen. She's an Ob-Gyn doctor she is now presently in Texas near Houston. And Dr. Hansen, welcome to the MedBix webcast.
Hello, Ramana. Thank you so much. It's really, really fun to be here. And all of the overlaps that we've been talking about, you've lived in Montreal, you've lived in Edmonton, so you've lived in Canada, so have I. You've lived in Houston, so have I. We have a passion for space and also a passion for raising awareness around women's issues, and obviously women in history. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you started it, as a doctor in Canada and here and presently in Texas. Just give us a little professional background, a little bit, both.
Absolutely. So I started doing medicine in Canada, like you said, trained in Ontario, lived in Cold Lake, Alberta, and I would love to get Dr. Sophia Yen up to Cold Lake. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a very interesting and isolated place to do medicine. And then as my husband was recruited to NASA, we moved to Houston, where I did OB-GYN at the university for a while and some private practice, and then ran into Dr. Yen, where we began working together at Pandia Health. So we'll talk more about that later, but that was a really beautiful part of this journey for me, obstetrics and gynecology, and then a diversion to my real passion, which is around women's empowerment and really helping women to live their fullest, most beautiful, joy-filled lives.
Yeah, Dr. Hansen, one of the things that I noticed from your, caught my eye when I was listening to one of the podcasts. He said that, realigning, particularly, I'm not a woman, but I can understand that, reimagining and realigning their life system, listening to their heart what that means. Can you expand on that one a little bit?
Yeah, and I just want to say I'm just really grateful for you having done so much looking around in the work that I've done. It's really remarkable, these conversations we've had the last couple of days. So we know that there's a lot of noise in the world and women are doing a lot of things. And as we've talked about, women are carrying the lion's share of the unpaid work in the world. And women are often serving other people and forgetting about themselves. So, this idea of realigning and reclaiming is really about figuring out who we are as women, what it is that we want, what do we need, how do we listen to the messages that are really truly ours, and get outside of that noise and find some quiet space to find out what we really love and what it is that we want to do with our lives. That whole reclamation means really being who we came to this world to be.
One tool, you gave a one particular tool. I was so impressed by the tool is that, during the pandemic, I was stressed out and, isolated from everybody else. And then, so I was going through personal things, tragedies at that time. So at that time, I was stressed. And then one thing I did was that turned that into my stress into curiosity. I wrote a book and then I started the show. And then one of my first speakers on my appearance is Sophia. Thank you, Sophia. I'm a forever debt to you. But I tell you, that tool is so powerful, as you mentioned in your talk. Is that how? Can you expand on that one? Is how the stress you turn into that curiosity? It's an excellent tool. Can you a little bit expand on that one, if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're really, really stressed, we find ourselves sort of in a fixed mindset. We find ourselves feeling like there's no real answers. We don't know what to do. And all we can think about is what's bothering us, what's stressing us out. And it's really interesting that a we can't be in a fixed mindset and curious at the same time. So when we start asking questions as opposed to feeling like everything's falling apart, and we start reflecting on what's possible here, what could happen here, how could things turn out, we can get ourselves out of a fixed mindset into a growth mindset, and then creativity really starts to flourish. And then we can see outside of what's happening to us to some of the potential positives or creative solutions that we wouldn't otherwise be able to think about when we're focused on the stressor. And because we share a passion for space, I just want to share a little story about Gene Kranz. He was a flight director for the Apollo 13 mission, and you may have heard this story. And if you haven't, it's in all of the movies and the docuseries that you'll see about Apollo 13. But when all of the stressors were happening and everyone was focused on, how much oxygen is left in the capsule and how are we going to bring these 3 crewmates back, and everything's falling apart and nothing is possible, how long do they really have to survive? And what he did was went into curiosity. This is what we have on the capsule. This is what is available to us. Let's think outside the box at what could we build? How could we bring them back? And of course, that famous quote of failure is not an option. So that was turning stress, a very stressful, life-threatening situation, into curiosity. And look what happened.
I saw that movie. I saw that movie, and then further about it. Tom Hanks, I think, did a kind of documentary on it. I'm a physicist. I have to follow all those things. I was when I was a kid. I was first mission that I wrote as I was just a college student, first year freshman. I wrote a letter to the our space agency, Indian Space Agency, to visit the place. They said that no, we have a war going on between the India and Pakistan. We cannot come down here. And then in the beginning, then they changed their mind and they said that okay, it's okay to come down. We wanted to encourage our kids in our nation, so they brought us, and I went there to the visit. It was a fantastic experience. As I say, that stress is, yeah, that one of the thing is that in the space mission, that is the people are so isolated, a lot of stress there. Dr. Hansen, you're not only just writing about the personal lives and life itself. But you are also expert. You are OB/GYN doctor, expert in menopause. Talk about. I'm a man. I don't know much about it. I'm going to bring him a friend. Ask you a couple of questions. Tell us a little bit about menopause.
Absolutely. So, menopause is something that every woman, if she's lucky enough to live long enough, has to go through. We can't get through life without it. Some of us, it just comes and goes like a lamb, and others, it's extremely debilitating. So, menopause hits around the average age of 51, and there could be symptoms that are really take us down and make it hard for us to live, happy, healthy lives. We know that there's been a lack of access to care for midlife and menopausal women. And having worked in a lot of facilities where I provided that care, it's really not valued. It's really not valued by insurance. It's really not valued by a lot of systems. And so being able to talk about doing menopausal care with an organization like Pandia Health, where we offer online, convenient, credible care for really anyone of all ages and stages, but in that midlife time frame when other access to care is really not that high level, it's been an honor to work with Pandia Health and to be their head of menopause. And I really feel that it's a place where we really need to be doing better in medicine.
Let me bring up Sophia to the table. So that's let me Sophia, welcome to the Medmix webcast. You are my pro veteran for this show. She's been here so many times. Thank you, Sophia. You've been a great supporter of this podcast, and she's always, whenever I ask her, she shows up. She showed up. She is a just amazing woman. I met her actually in person, so I know Sophia very well. So
Will
Sophia,
Sophia will Sophia come to Cold Lake, Alberta sometime?
tell us. You have to go there, Sophia. One time, that how fast you want to run, you need to go in the winter time.
Yeah, it's okay. You can visit me in Houston. It's okay.
So, Sophia, the people that go through, you're dealing with a lot of people, women with young women. There's people going through the, prevent period is an optional. That your tagline. Tell us a little bit about that also while you're here.
Yeah. So I'm an adolescent medicine specialist, and that's called sex, drugs, rock and roll, a little acne, and some sports medicine. And I've always been passionate about making women's lives better. And that's why we started Pandia Health, so that we could bring cutting edge, expert, evidence based care to wherever you have internet and a mailbox in the United States. Maybe we'll expand to Canada someday, but for right now, there's so much stuff going on that we can do here in the States that we don't need to go to Canada yet. But if anybody wanted to franchise or license, we might be open to that. At Pandia Health, we can prescribe birth control to 17 states, and we can deliver it to all 50. And the same thing will happen with menopause as we launch, and we'll grow as we get more investment. So if anybody has any investor friends, definitely send them our way as well. And for anybody with a uterus that's bleeding every month, make sure you check out my TEDx talk, #periods optional. So pandiahealth.com/periods optional. And it goes over the science and safety of not having to bleed every single month, and how it's actually more natural to have fewer periods. And we've done the talk before on this channel, so I won't keep blathering, but I'm so excited that we were able to secure Dr. Hansen as our head of menopause. She is one of two on our team that are Menopause Society certified practitioners, but one of only 1,000 in the entire United States that are certified. So again, it's about expert evidence-based care, and it's the wild, wild west with menopause. And it's so important to know that you're getting information that is evidence-based, not just what somebody wants to do. For example, testosterone pellets.
I have a friend here. She says that she didn't go through the menopause. Let me bring her to the table. And yeah. So Dana is a friend of mine. So she says that she didn't go through the menopause.
because as a man, I don't know what that is. Even I thought I know the flashes, hot flashes. That's all I know. But tell us, she didn't go. Tell us, Dana, what do you went through? There are two doctors there.
Yes, I don't know what the actual signs are. You were saying like everyone goes through menopause, but some are, it's probably more apparent than others, which I understand. But I had a hysterectomy at 32. So when you're talking about less periods, oh gosh, now I love it. No periods here, but I bled for a year every day, so I'm blessed now not to have to do that. But so they said that I would go through menopause earlier because of that, of having a hysterectomy so early. So what are the actual signs? Maybe I had it and didn't really bother me any. I know, some of my friends have the hot flashes and they're about dying, ripping their clothes off and stuff like that. But what are maybe some of the other signs that maybe I just missed?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dana. And I'm wondering if we can avoid the echo. Are we
Yeah,
hearing?
yeah. I'm going to. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay,
So,
awesome. So yeah, great question, Dana. And so with a
Jana,
hysterectomy,
Jana, can you put your phone in the? Just a minute. We're all having a lot of problems now
Yeah,
because
no, my
you need to
volume
put
is
a
up.
mute on the phone.
Okay, got it.
I'm glad I'm not doing the tech, I'll tell you that right now. But Dana, it's a great question. And when women have a hysterectomy, they can either have their ovaries removed, which means they go immediately into lack of hormones, lack of estrogen, progesterone, and menopause. So early menopause, or they can have their ovaries remain in. And it sounds like at 30, you probably had your ovaries remain in. But even with any pelvic surgery, ovaries they can actually start to lag a little bit earlier because of disruption in the blood supply. So bottom line, some of the signs of menopause are hot flashes and night sweats, some sleep disturbances, so insomnia, and some changes in the bladder and the vaginal area, sometimes pain with sex or dryness or sexual dysfunction like dryness or lack of arousal or even orgasm. So there's a lot of sexual function that can start to creep in, even some libido, cognitive issues. A lot of women complain of brain fog or kind of loss of memory a little bit. And so those things can be sort of the main signs. But other things that are happening in the body, and I think this is really important for most women, is that there's also some other detrimental effects that are happening behind the scenes. And that would be things like bone loss, and that lack of hormone can sometimes contribute to other organs, brain, heart, all the tissues are impacted by that lack of estrogen. And so getting appropriate care, evidence-based care, guideline-based care that Dr. Yen was talking about, and making sure that estrogen and potentially progesterone, if you have a uterus, are considered early enough. And the timing hypothesis tells us that that should be within the first 10 years of menopause and before the age of 60. And of course, it's safe beyond that, but in that early time frame, you can actually prevent a lot of ongoing health concerns with heart, with brain, with bone, with all those tissues, because you're bringing that, or you're maintaining that estrogen level before it starts to fall, starts to plummet too rapidly. So I think it's really important for women as they reach sort of mid 40s, or as they start to have sort of menstrual changes or any of those symptoms I just mentioned, to be talking to their doctor about menopausal hormone therapy that may prevent some ongoing medical issues. I hope that answers your question.
Dana, yes, just a footnote here. Yes, I need to, just somebody is getting echo. This is not a consultation, it's just the educational purpose only because I need to put that legal aspect to it. So, anyway, this is a wonderful. Thank you, Dana. You got the answers. Do you have any other questions now? Or thank you so much for joining with us. Okay.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Hansen, can I ask you a question? So is menopause 1 year after your last period, or when you had your last period and you only know it a year later?
Oh my goodness, the subtleties. So you are menopausal 12 months after your last period. And the last period they call the the final menstrual period. So it has actually a bit of an acronym to it as well, but you actually don't know it's your last menstrual period until 12 months later.
So, is there any equivalent to menopause in men, Dr.
Like
Hansen?
they call it andropause, and people go buy a Ferrari.
Ferrari, that's what I thought.
Or they dump their wife.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling self-awareness here, but so Dr. Hansen, and Sophia, I'm going to Dr. Sophia and both of them are Hansen and Yan. There is also some music to it. I'm going to present a topic that is regarding just a wonderful woman in the history. Just they're like, that both you appreciate women in history. I will all bring all of you down. You can make a comment anytime. That's you all can watch. This is then after that I come back and ask you about the Pandya Health and your ewcircle.com, how they can reach you. Let me. So this is the time about one fine car. I'm going to talk about how the actually evil there's a evil who caused a health catastrophe in this country. In this world, the entire planet, there was a one man caused a health catastrophe. Is unbelievable. There is a fine car in between, but there is a great woman who saved also when we needed it. That is I'm going to talk about that story about her. So it is in 1908 on the Belle Isle Bridge. There was a woman driving. While driving, she got stuck. There was a guy. There is a gentleman who came to rescue, who came to give a support to her to crank the car. I don't know whether I'm old. I'm from a village. We had a lot of cars with the cranks. The shaft is there. You got to crank it. Move around it to start the car. So that was what he's trying to help her. So that was misfired, and then he hit him is on his face. And he is a friend of Henry Leland. He's also a car manufacturer. His name is Byron Carter, and he was also car manufacturer in Detroit. So he's a good friend of Henry Leland, who is the owner of the manufacturer of the Cadillacs. So that was then what happened was he died. He died because of the shaft hit him on his face, and eventually April 6th he died, cranking the car. That was discussed his friend Henry Leland. What he did was his self-starting car. He wanted to do the self-starting car for the Cadillac. So he hired a brilliant engineer. His name is Thomas Medley Jr. He's a brilliant engineer. I don't know. I tell you, he's a good or bad. You will decide in a few minutes. He invented the spark plugs, so you don't have to go through the cranking the car. He invented the spark plugs. That was a revolutionary in that times. So Cadillac, incorporated the spark plugs in the car. But what happened is spark plug has one problem. It has also solved a lot of problems, self-starting, but it has one problem. It's called a knocking. It moves, the machines move. It shakes violently it shakes the car. And I used to go in a tractor in my village. That the tractor, that exhaust pump moves so much, so violent. So that is a problem they want to solve because it cuts down the performance of an engine. They wanted to solve the problem. So what they did was Thomas Medley Jr. did is added a lead to the reduced knocking. That was the first time they added lead to the reduced knocking. It dramatically reduces the knocking part. It's an amazing what he did, but it solved a big problem in the driving car. So everybody's happy, and particularly for all men. Won in the Indianapolis 1923. All three cars who won the prizes, first 1 and 2, 3, used a leaded gas. So that was an amazing accomplishment for the cars. But that's where Unholy Alliance started it. DuPont and Standard Oil Company and General Motors started together, all of them together, started a company called Ethyl Corporation, where they provided a leaded gas to the entire country. That was the revolution, started it with them. Then that is the beginning of the revolution. That is 1950. Cars were filled with the leaded gas all over the United States. Very fancy Chevrolet. I used to watch Chevrolet cars. When I was a kid, those are all filled with the United States streets filled with cars in 1950s. They all using leaded gas. But there is a problem in the leaded explosion. Lead was using the paints. They're using the pipes, particularly PVC pipes, all the water that carry the pipes to the house, and then paints and all women and batteries. A lot of batteries are using lead, and then a lot of paint for women. They're putting on their lipstick even this lead, but they don't know what's coming into the danger part of it. There was another story developing same time. There is a guy, his name is Claire Patterson. I'm a physicist, so that's why I know the story. So he was trying to find the age of the Earth. So only way to find out the age of the Earth is to go to one of the crystals. Zirconium crystal is a beginning stages. It's a crystal that is actually beginning of the Earth formation. It is the crystal that is well known. So he wanted to go into the mines and pick up the zirconium crystal and checking on the crystal. What he found is stunning. He found a lead inside. There is not supposed to be lead inside in zirconium crystal. That is surprising to him. Then he checked everywhere. That caused a lot of concern. So he went to the water everywhere, all the oceans. He checked every ocean on the surface. There's a lot of lead. He found the lead content there. In the soil, there's everywhere the lead content. In the air, there's a lead content. So only way you can solve this problem at Sage, he went to Antarctica and pulled they dig into the big inside and bought this water and checked it to find out the Earth Sage. He found the Earth Sage. He's from the same Manhattan project. He was working for a Manhattan project at the time, Oak Ridge, for the Los Alamos labs. So Claire Patterson was very concerned about this. The lead is everywhere. This is a danger. The lead is so. The danger. The Ethyl Corporation is that one corporation, and this causes this problem. Leaded gas and the paints. These two, the pond and this one, do both of them. This filled the planet with the lead. That was the biggest news. Even the dangers of lead. Benjamin Franklin in 1600, he was warning about in the Pennsylvania Gazette. It's dangerous to that. Sophia Yan went to MIT and Yale. They warned that there's dangers of lead into the human body. So, but these are Thomas Midley Jr., the guy who was the engineer who invented the spark plugs, and he added a lead to the gasoline. He was a proponent of lead. He was drinking leaded gasoline and showing them how easy. There's no problems at all. He was trying to do that and showing to the public it's a leaded gas. It's no problem at all. It is absolutely wonderful. So another American Petroleum Institute said that it's actually a gift from heaven. Guys, we made up make up stories anyway. We use God for defending the health. So we do not feel in the driving up what has come to the industry like a gift from heaven on the possibilities. So it is we all consider that institute said that is a gift from heaven. But that is a Standard Oil CEO says. 50-year environmental disaster happening slowly creep upon us one by one. Then it is actually the real problem with the lead is, I don't know, tell, the Sophia is a pediatrician, Sophia Yan and Hansen, they do, one is OB/GYN, other is a pediatrician. They all know more than I do. But lead mimics the calcium. Lead has it doesn't know, the body doesn't know the difference between the calcium and lead. So signaling proteins, particularly in signaling protein, it goes in this place of the lead, the calcium ion, the lead ion sits down there. So the body doesn't know the difference. It doesn't get rid of the lead. So what happens is, that in the X-ray you can see that actually, that you can see the lead lining up there. So it is actually interfering the biological process signaling and the metabolic process. It is causing the problem, the lead. Then not that Dr. Hansen can testify this. When expecting mothers, placenta lead can go through the placenta inside. It transmits to the placenta to the baby. Unbelievable that lead. What is happening with the lead is it is a devastating effects on children. The myelin on the neurons on the sheath of the myelin, it is taking out the myelin, insulin part of the neurons. It is taking out. So it is during that time there was a remarkable woman. It's actually, so lead toxicity is a serial killer of human body. Lead toxicity is an amazingly dangerous one. Is a Not amazing. It is just a dangerous one. And so mummies, actually they tested mummies, from the mummies from the Egypt, and then present humans. We have 1,000% more lead on our bodies than the mummies. We have a lot more lead. We need a lead. We have a lead in the body, but this is not the amount of lead is that we have is. So lead is connected to the toxicity. Lead toxicity is connected to the. There was a study in the 2022, even recent Journal of Medicine, New England Journal of Medicine did that. It is correlated with the high school dropout. Direct correlation with the high school dropout. This is then the violent crimes in the United States correlated with the lead usage. It went up, and then when we started reducing the lead content, it went down. It's perfectly correlated with the lead content with the violent crimes. So not in just the United States. This is in the United States. In Canada, where Dr. Hansen is from, Canada, Britain, Australia, all of them showed the similar statistical analysis data. They showed that it is in the same. So it went on. Violent crimes are related to that kind of a lead poisoning. And there was a remarkable woman who was born during the time. Her name is Alice Hamilton. She was born in 1869 and born in Manhattan. And then she grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I went to school in Norman, Oklahoma, actually. Norman, Oklahoma. I also Ball State, Indiana, Muncie, Indiana. I went to Muncie, Indiana. I went to a lot of places. I studied a lot of schools. Do 2-3 degrees. I studied, computer science, nuclear engineering, and physics. So in Montreal. So she was born in Manhattan and then grew up in Fort Wayne, very wealthy family. She's from a very wealthy family. Her father used to own most of the land in Fort Wayne, Indiana. She went to medical school. She became a doctor. She became a doctor in medical school, Michigan Medical University. She went to Michigan Medical Medicine. She studied a medical doctor. She became, and then she went to Harvard. She went to both schools. She's an accomplished doctor, and then she doesn't want to go anywhere. She doesn't want to make money. Is not her issue. She went to Jane Addams, another Nobel Prize winner, peace activist, feminist. She was fighting for equality of all men, all races. She started a Hull House in Chicago. It's called Hull House. It's a big house, actually. So that is a lot of intellectuals that can stay there and then can interact with each other. And they're serving the poor among them. A lot of batteries were dumping in the African American background in Chicago, south side of Chicago. What they did was they used to go there and help them and clean it up and checking on all of them. Alice Hamilton joined in the Hull House, and she became a partner with Jane Addams. She spent quite a bit of time, decades, she spent in the Hull House in Chicago. She became a professor eventually in Harvard, but she did a extraordinary. She was a warrior. She did not say. At that time, women were ignored and everything. During the time, she was an unrelenting crusader against the toxic lead. She started a WASHA, actually, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. She was instrumental in starting that industrial safety, actually. WASHA was started because of her. Industrial medicine, worker safety. She is And there people are working, a lot of African Americans, and the woman, they used to call people who working in the collective in the working in the garbage industry, the color once the garbage is collected, they used to call them, do you know what they used to call? Garbage woman. That's what they called in Chicago. So she used to go and help them. It's unbelievable. The woman went through. It is just a brutal treatments of. We we are we are really, man has to pay the price for this. I agree with all the women up here. So anyway, she was the absolute warrior under the election. So what is it? You can this is this lead spread across the world. Bangladesh has 9.7. Iran has the Nigeria has a 45 microliters. These are decimal per deciliter. It's just a unbelievable amounts. That's a dangerous level. Even 5 grams per deciliter is much more higher. 5 is an acceptable in the CDC says. 40% of children in Indian cities are exposed to more than 5 micrograms. In China, on the top 10, India is not in the top 10, but China is one of the top. In the last one is 10 is a China. Still, they have one of the highest lead content in their systems, because a lot of manufacturing went on there. Remember, so all these countries have so you can test the lead through urine, blood, hair, and all these analyses that you can chelation therapy may work. I don't know. We can ask all these two doctors, but diet and calcium, iron and iron, and I don't know, some vitamin supplements, they can do that. But the prevention is the best. That is the only way you can get rid of that you cannot have a lead in the. So there is another lady that came from Michigan. It's a Flint River lad. She is a Dr. Mona Hana Atisha. She started she is the one who brought the awareness to the lad, and then she stopped war against children. That's what she said. How terrible we are. It shows that, right? And so she wrote a book, what the eyes don't see, that the dangers of lead. She wrote that book on the Flint River, about the Flint River. But so the CDC actually started from 1960s, is continuously reducing the acceptable levels of CDC, Center for Disease Control, reducing the levels of the. Now CDC says nothing is good. Zero is better. That's what they said in 2021. She said 3.5. Now they say zero is better. So that is exactly true. So age 44, the guy who was defending the lad, he went to Florida. He ran away from Detroit, and then he had a polio. He had a lead poisoning himself, and then he was strangled to death in mechanical bed. I don't know how many people dropped tears for him, but he had a violent death. But the children are paid a price. That's what it is. So Dr. Alice Hamilton, she got the best revenge probably. She lived 101. She lived until 101. She lived in 1869 until all the way to 1970. Lived among. She is a really one of the. She lived among poor, and she served all the poor. That Jane Addams house, great house, and then they served the communities. And then she's a remarkable woman. She saved the planet, saved the children, and these are the two remarkable women. And this Dr. Alice Hamilton and Mona Atisha, they are people like that. Now we have a wonderful woman. Thank you for listening. It's a MedBix presentation. Now I have a better people. They're as good as them. Dr. Sophia Yan and Dr. Catherine Hansen. Tell us, what do you think? Have you heard about her? Do you know about the Dr. Alice Hamilton? Unbelievable. This is the way the history was not taught. That is a sad, right? Particularly you're a pediatrician, you're a OBGYN. This is a lead content. How it spread across entire world. They wanted to hide the signs when it hurts the children and women, they didn't care. As long as they have fast car, that's good enough. So, what do you think? Let me ask you, what do you think, Dr. Hansen?
Yeah, so thank you so much for that presentation. I mean, not just the awareness of the warrior women as you described, but the awareness of how short-sighted we were with trying to get fast vehicles and the paint and I think when I was in medical school, it was really kids peeling the paint off the walls and knowing that there was a lot of lead in paint and it was really impacting kids at that stage. That would have been 30 years ago. So right in the graphs that you're showing there, I really appreciate your presentation. I think it's vital information for us to have, and it's nice to know that things are better, but they're definitely not perfect. And raising that awareness for us, super valuable. Thank you so much.
What do you think, Dr. Sofian?
Yes, as a pediatrician, we are always testing for lead poisoning in the United States. And, if you use any old pictures that a lot of people come from different countries, there's lead in the pictures. And for those of us that are of Chinese or Japanese descent, sometimes the glaze in the Chinese rice bowls and stuff like that, particularly the ones with the red paint on the outside. But the good news is I think when I tested it, the red had lead, but the men's side did not have lead, but still, and then particularly with the pitchers, if you put something acidic in it, that's particularly dangerous because like lemonade or something with acid in it, it can leach out the lead from the pitcher into the liquid that you're serving whoever you're giving this pitcher to. So, and exactly as Dr. Hansen said, when I had to go visit houses where the kids had lead and there was a 2-year-old and they exactly at their height across the room had picked off all the paint and eaten it. And part of it is when you're anemic, you have pica and you eat things you shouldn't eat, usually ice and dirt. But in this case had eaten the paint, which had resulted in the lead poisoning. So always impressed by what you come up with, Ramana, in terms of finding these hidden she heroes out there. And, we want to make sure that we share the resources that we have at Pandia Health so that everybody with a uterus can be the best possible she hero that she could be.
Both are you wonderful contributors for the show, and also I think they tell us you're saving women and saving children, so you are the important ones. Tell us, Dr. Hansen, how do you reach people? What is your outreach for you beside the pandiahealth.com? You're part of that, and I said that. So give us a little bit more how they can reach you, and what is your book a little bit? You wrote a book.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I just want to comment on your curiosity and how you're bringing to us these really incredible conversations and topics. And I am also, as I'm watching you, wondering in 50 years, who's going to be talking about Dr. Sophia Yen, the warrior visionary woman. So I would encourage everyone to go to pandiahealth.com and scroll down a little bit if you're midlife, because there's a section on menopause there already and lots more to come. So getting on that list is going to bring not just some great gifts and some surprises, but also some really incredible high-level value information. So that's what I would do first. The second call to action I would propose is drkatherinehansen.com. And that will be the same as the website you have on the brochure there, but drkatherinehansen.com. And there's that Reclaim Your Life book that you describe, and all of that sort of joy-filled information about how women can really reclaim who they are and what they came into this world to do. So I really hope that both of those places provide exceptional value for your listeners.
Dr. Hansen, while you are taking Sophia to the Cold Lake, Alberta, introduce your husband to me. He is an astronaut. Jeremy Hansen is an astronaut from Canada. I'm a physics student. I love it. So that is close to my heart. And if I say hello to him, it's like seeing a God for me. So whenever you can bring 1 minute, and that would be fantastic. So.
Yeah.
take her to the Cold Lake, Alberta. I've been there. We went through. I lived in Edmonton, Alberta for one semester. Ran away as much as I froze to death almost. I thought,
Yeah.
oh God.
And I know that you were generous enough to invite him to come say hello tonight. But like I was talking about women doing a lot of the unpaid work and all of the responsibilities, he's actually doing the parent-teacher interviews for me tonight for our children. So very, very busy tonight. But we'll make sure you get a chance to say hello, because physics is not something a lot of people love to do, and he absolutely does. So I'm really proud to say that the US is sending 4 crew members back to the moon in the next year-ish. And 3 of them are American and 1 of them is a Canadian. And there's only ever been 24 people that have been able to look back at the Earth from that vista. And there'll be another 4 on their way pretty soon. My husband, one of them. So we're really, really excited about that. And I, again, just really encourage people to connect with us at pandiahealth.com or drkatherinehansen.com, because we've got lots to share. And I hope to share a lot of things about that mission too. I think it really relates. You know, those are people living their dreams, and there's a woman on that mission. It'll be the first woman that's headed that direction and gone that far, Christina Cook, and it'll be exciting to share that with people who stay connected with us.
I'm always had a special love for Canada and engineers. My brother is engineer. He spent all his life in Canada. He was working for the Canadian government, Atomic Energy of Canada Limited, and that is my second love affair with Montreal and Canada. Sophia, you're all over. Dr. Yan is all over the place. She ran away from. Let me tell you, she said that she ran away from Michigan. No, in Boston. So that's going to be a treat for you going to Canada.
Yes, no, as I like to say, I grew up in the Bay Area, which is Silicon Valley, where the climate, the Center for Pandia Health is Sunnyvale, California. It doesn't get more California than that. And it's about 73 degrees Fahrenheit almost at all times. And so we don't see much change in weathers. But going to Boston, I froze my butt off and swore I'd never go back there again, maybe for Harvard. And I have gone back recently to give a talk there on periods optional and birth control prescribing and racial differences, race as a proxy for genetics in response to drugs, which we think probably has to do with like liver function. But I do want to give a shout out, maybe Dr. Hansen, if you want to give a couple of menopause pearls, or I'm all about hashtags, so I must put out the hashtag stop sucking it up. So if you have bad evil periods, please see a doctor. And if you have any symptoms of menopause that are bothering you, please see a doctor. And I want to speak from personal experience. I'm 51, almost 52 now, and I definitely felt the change in my waist. I saw the change in my cholesterol. And I've experienced, unfortunately, some of the vaginal symptoms. I call it sandpaper vagina. And then my family has a history of dementia. And there's actually a recent paper that came out that shows the sooner you start hormonal replacement, the better prevention of dementia if you have a family history of dementia. And then my dad had a quintuple bypass, so too much TMI I'm sharing. But that, directly to my heart, my concern of preventing cardiac badness. And then being a person of Asian descent, people of color in general, 80% of us are lactose intolerant, suck at getting enough calcium. And so if you have a family history of osteopenia, again, something that runs in Asians in my family, then hormonal replacement therapy is also important for that. So if any physician is telling you and patting you on the shoulder and saying, that's just life, baby, suck it up, be like, no, stop sucking it up, and I'm going to go to Pandia Health. You can, access us in 17 states in the United States, and we encourage birth control tourism. So the example I give is we are not in New Jersey or Connecticut, but who doesn't get to New York once a year if you're in New Jersey, Connecticut, right? And we're also where the Disneys are, and we're in Texas with Dr. Hansen, as I like to say, South by Southwest, Austin, or just Texas. And then again, 17 states, you can get to one of them once a year. And when you're there, you're like, I am in New York right now. I am in Texas right now. Then you fill out the questionnaire and our physician legally can take care of you. And then we can ship to all 50 states.
Wow, you really covered it there, Dr. Yen. I would really love to give a shout out to our medical group at Pandia Health. So we are all physicians, and with Dr. Stephanie Culver being Menopause Society certified practitioner along with me, we have a lot of expertise at the table, and I really love the providers. You're not going to find a telehealth organization that is serviced by such expert providers and MDs and physicians who really have a heart for integrity and the importance of compassionate care that is also evidence-based and backed by science. So I think that's where my shout out would go. And again, in 50 years, or hopefully less than that, we're looking back at Dr. Sophia Yen and saying, what a warrior, what a visionary. Thank goodness that the world has the contribution that she's been able to provide.
Both your visionaries, both your mentors for people like my daughter, and not only for all women. In fact, I'm honored and privileged to talk with you. Really, it's a fun talking, both of you, and it's truly. Thank you for bringing Dr. Hansen, Sophia, Dr. Yan. It is anything final thing you want to say to the final words for all the women going through my daughter period is optional. She needs it. She took your advice. She's asking me about that actually recently, and then because she's getting married soon. So that's so tell us the final words. Anything you want to say, both of you?
Yeah, I'll go first because Dr. Yen loves having the final. I just want to remind midlife and menopausal women that these are and definitely should be the best years of our lives. We've got life experience, we've got wisdom. Nothing should hold us back, not hot flashes, night sweats, or any marital or sexual issues. We need to be out there shining our light on the world and doing the very best we can. And only we can do that. Only we can bring those gifts to the world. The world needs people who are lit up, passionate, and purpose-driven. And menopause should not be holding us back. So I just want to really encourage midlife women to be really reaching and stretching and finding that joy within so that they can make the world the very best place that we want to raise our children. Over to you, Dr. Yen.
Dr. Hansen, I'm just, so happy that you are part of our team. And as you can see from all that she says, she is the holistic, everywhere, all goodness, as evidenced by her book, as evidenced by what you've said tonight. More than me, I'm just about getting your medicine, getting your stuff taken care of, and don't suffer. I believe in science, I believe in medicine, and I don't believe in suffering. So if you're suffering from blood, let's talk, period's optional. If you're suffering from lack of hormone and all the symptoms and all the badness that goes with that, let's talk. So hashtag stop sucking it up, but hashtag you are at the top of your game. Dr. Hansen, and you inspire the rest of us to provide the best possible care. So everybody check out Pandia Health, follow us on YouTube, follow us on our website, sign up for our menopause. Right now, pandiahealth.com/menopause will notify you when things happen and you get goodies as well. And tell anybody you know who wants the best care for women in birth control, as well as menopause and a little bit of acne we're throwing in there, and maybe some obesity in the future, to come our way, and any investors to come our way. And it's Pandia Health, the Greek goddess of healing, light, full moon. And then I made up the definition. Pan is every and dia is day, to help you remember how to spell it. But also we want to be with you every day from your first period till your last breath.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining with me. It is truly an honor and a privilege. Always. You're a great supporter of mine. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
are retailing their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.